have to understand the stupidity of survival of the fittest. You have to just understand that it's stupid. How am I saying that? Like the way it affected Isaac Newton. You have a guy that's sitting there, not believing the mythology of all the misconceptions of the translations of the Bible, but understanding the eternal values and the eternal applications of physics. Okay, but still trying to grasp that concept about Jesus being God, but he's not, right? God's omniscient and omnipotent, and Jesus explains to the Romans that humans cannot be God, nor first person, nor possessive pronoun be, right? And so it was hard. It's still hard. There are only a few people in the history of the world that will challenge the status quo. Well, I don't challenge, correct the status quo. I don't have to challenge it. It's not a challenge. They're wrong. I'm right. I'm good. They're bad. I'm the way, the truth, and life, and they're liars. So I'm not really challenging them. You don't need to challenge them. They're wrong. Right? So I'm not challenging the status quo. The status quo is stupid. That's why the Messiah during the apocalypse is Mercury and Leo, earthly. Right? Old Mercury and Leo, everything's either smart or stupid. Right. Well, it's not so much smart or stupid. It's right or wrong. Okay. And it's wrong. Why are you doing that? If it's incorrect, you shouldn't do it. Right. We got to, like when I watched, Dad and Mom explained to them, we used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard because, it's fun to look at Barbara Bach in her shorts, right? Like it was fun to look at Dawn Wells in hers and Nichelle Nichols in a miniskirt. And, you're so pretty. Oh my gosh. Dun 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 dun. I love you, baby. And if it's Grotto, you'd be like Kevin to touch. I want to hold you so much. You know how we get about real pretty women, and they say, I want to have sex and live through you. Get out of here. That's a real, it's a special feeling, Lloyd, right? And so, was it meant to last? Yes. Yes, given the components, that God knows, it doesn't not God knows. God gave you what you need to exist through holy covenants before you were even in existence. Everything you need to live with faithful love is already here in a God of Davida, right? And so, as you're looking at the dynamics and the interactive of it, you've got to understand and explain to people. I'm sitting here, watching the game, watching Western versus Permian Basin. I haven't seen any replays of games with Angelo State from their place. I've seen some with when they're playing other folks. So, but I knew Permian Basin does. So I was waiting for it to show up here on the archives of the recent, and it finally did. Because I saw they had Permian Basin versus Sul Ross, which I haven't watched to see who wins. But yeah, so I saw they just got into the rankings and then lost to Angelo in San Angelo. I was like, damn. And then they came back with a win at Permian in Odessa, it's Permian Basin. And so this these trips to Texas must be nice for Quincy and Keelan, because it's not too far of a drive for their family to come out and see them play, because they don't get the same kind of money that you get in Division One. Keelan's would make more money playing at New Mexico State than he would at Western. Okay, but when you go to, I'm sure Cortavius will tell you that too. When you go to, you could be good enough to play Division One, but the more money involved, the more selfish it gets, and the more you get like the upperclassmen with Love and Basketball, one of Eddie's favorite movies. And it gets, starting defense, place at the table, and it gets very cutthroat. And it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Shabab, shabab, shabab. Money ain't real to me. And, I will stand up for your right to live life free from tyranny and selfishness, but I won't fight you like hell for money to fuck a crazy, egotistical bimbo. You know, that's the way love goes, babe. That's the music God made for the whole wide world to sing. It never gets old, it only grows. Losing makes me sorry. You say, honey, don't worry. Honey, I love you too. That's the way love goes, right? I haven't been throwing horseshoes over my left shoulder. I don't look for a four-leaf clover. I'm not Lefty Frizzell or Johnny Rodriguez. I'm Early Bird Parsons, right? Life's eternal, grace is infinite. The Gospels are perfect when perfectly and humbly understood, and you have the courage and kindness of eternal, immaculate faith, and you are the Messiah. You're the gracious Good Shepherd. You're the one that all the selfish chicken shit motherfuckers are scared of because you're going to eliminate all their delusions of grandeur. Bet your ass. Yeah. I already did. Guys, I was thinking about it on the way to check the trash. Well, half trash, half mail. And, I was sitting there and, guys, it does not necessitate, good shot, Isaiah, that technology eventually have to exterminate the people that are the source of abuse through selfishness. Survive, stop, eliminate abuse, recover. Where does, Jesus gave me Suzuki. Where does Suzuki say, kill all the people that make Roundup and then manipulate people? We could program people like we're programming a video game. That have them for economic reasons. And, if you don't do as they say, they put you out of business and you can't work anywhere in this town or anywhere else. If you're going to work with illegal aliens, give them jobs and diminish the surplus population, but it kills them too. Okay? It makes them sick and sends them to the hospital and kills them too. Not everybody has an immune system like Earl Parsons. Not everybody can survive it. And then once it's all shut down, go to the ocean and go in the mountains and kick that all out and live another 30, 40 years. Losing makes me sorry. Why do you think that one guy, Cowboys for Cancer at the library, I'm dying from cancer and I'm not your brother. My mom died from cancer. Okay. I'm trying to stop the cause of cancer. So you definitely ain't my brother. And you are heavy, motherfucker. But I couldn't carry him out of hell because he died from cancer because he worked for, he works in Las Cruces. Halliburton, Northrop Grumman, one of our local fucking heroes, right? Hey. Boom, boom, boom. I gotta put that on my MP3 player. I don't. I thought I did record Mile High. I don't have local here. I love in Samurai Samba. Is it Homecoming? I think that's my favorite song on Samurai Samba. Boom, doo, 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 doo. Yeah, I love the. Yeah, I told you I talked to my favorite sax player from that band, Russell Russo. Mark Russo. Russell was the piano player. Okay, but Mark Russo. And Mark was like, he's so excited because he's like, wow, you know who I am? And he thought I was a black guy. Okay, because we were talking, oh yeah, no man, this is Rodney's favorite album. It was our favorite contemporary jazz album, was your guys' Four Corners. Oh yeah, that was fun to lay out. It was good to lay out. I mean, we love Mile High. It's one of our favorites. We like side two of the. Yeah, those were good. Yeah, we were talking about it. So yeah, it's fun. Yeah, love Local Hero. Love Homecoming Samurai. Love got Samurai Samba. Got yeah. Sat there. He left the band and then went solo, and told me about his album and stuff. I was too. I couldn't find it. And stuff, probably should have and stuff. They were good together though. They really were. Russell's a really good piano player, and they're good. They were a good band. They were a lot of fun. Russell, Jimmy, Mark, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I mean, me and Rodney and Donna really liked the Yellow Jackets. They were one of our favorite jazz bands in the 1980s. Boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, ba 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 ba. Oh yeah, quite good stuff. Yeah. Postcards, passports, room with a view, Indigo. Yeah, it's a good album. So they're going, all that stuff's going through my head. Yeah. Oh yeah. Nothing like good jazz, you know. People don't realize that if you play better basketball if you put jazz on to play basketball too than hip hop. Why? Because jazz requires more of an artistic expression in unison to get, you know, done what you're accomplishing, and it takes discipline and a lot of extreme talent, really extreme talent. You have to be an extremely talented individual, okay, to play jazz and or classical. But as far as basketball goes, um, it's got a little bit more jazz in it. Hip hop, improv, bebop, bebop, improv is hip hop, jazz fusion. Down the back streets. Transit ride. But yeah, no. Well, yeah, I guess you guys are right too, because one of the best, but it'll wear you out. It's got too much energy for it. But jazz has a way of playing slow down with speed up to pace yourself. Um, uh, a good basketball song is Sex Machine, but the thing about it is it wear your ass out. I'll do my thing. Okay, I want to hit it, quit it. Want to hit it, quit it. In 5 minutes, you got to go sit on the bench. You're tired, right? Bum, bum, bum. But jazz, you get ba-da, 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 ba, 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 you get the ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-da, ba-boom, ba-doom, 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 boom, ba-da. So what? Freddie Freeloader, good stuff, man. Flamenco sketches, nah, it just doesn't have enough. You know, Breezing, yes, breezing good. 6 to 4, yes. Affirmation, yes. Okay, that's not a. Is that a jazz tune? I guess so. Um, uh, yeah, definitely jazz. It's a unique song. I like Jose. Yeah, he's a good composer. Boom, ba doom, ba doom, boom, ba doom, doom, boom, doom, boom, boom, ba doom, doom, doom. Yeah, that's a good basketball song. Boom, doom, doom, ba doom, ba doom, 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 ba doom, ba doom, ba doom, boom, ba doom, boom, boom. I think if I was gonna, well, I do coach, and I'm one of the best coaches on the planet, but I would have my kids to jazz and listen to and understand, the talent that it takes. What to this? That's okay. That's what he's doing there. Boom, 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 and get them to understand that how this quartet works. This is how our basketball team's going to work. Segues, transitions, passing, defense. Everybody's got to work together for the tune to come out just right. Right. Boom, 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 ba doom, boom, boom, ba doom, boom, ba 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 ba. Right. Could be a little bit. Yeah, it could be RT Bell and the Drells too. Tighten it up now. Now make it mellow. Ba-na-na-na. All right, tighten up on that organ. In Houston, we dance as well as we want, right? Yeah, that's too funny. Well, the day I was going over the team and I forgot about Keelan. And he lived up in here in Cruces. Oh, nice shot, Carson. And I felt that, but past, present, future operate at the same time. Then I went and looked up the kiddos. Javon Beltran, he's from Centennial High School. Okay. And so I sat there, and the other young man is Australian. Okay. And I forgot his name. Gosh dang it. Mr. Jones is from England. Well, he's probably tall, speaks quite with a British accent, actually. He probably refers to cigarettes as fags and the trunk of a car as a boot. Right? Yeah. So, or an auto. Do they call him? I don't know. Like with Coach Allen, with Dickie Thon. It's a drive shaft. Oh, yeah, in Arizona, we work on them, too. We call them a drive shaft, and it's car to car. Fuck you, Alan. And Mr. Allen would laugh his ass off. He thought it was hilarious. Oh, there's the little boy with his backpack, and then he has the little brother, too. I'm watching the game and watching the crowd. You watch the kids, and I'm watching the little young man going to the basketball game. And I remember going to the basketball games and watching the young men that, you look up to and want to be a good basketball player, too, When I was a kid, it was Dexter Hawkins, and I used to have a basketball. I don't know what happened to it. I got a hole in it and stuff. But it had Elijah Owens, Micah Owens, Greg Webb, Nody Pate, Albert Slab Jones, gosh darn it, I met him many times at Fiesta Foods and his beautiful wife. He was one of my favorite dunkers on the team because when he dunked, the whole basket would shake. And I remember him, he's a wonderful man. And I'm sitting there and then, gosh darn it. Who else? Did Cyrus? Yeah, Cyrus Tip Cormier, and I talked to Cyrus on Facebook. He said it was because he ran on his tippy toes when he was a little kid, not because he used to tip the ball back in. Yeah, that's how he got his name, Cyrus Tip Cormier. He's also from Houston. Yeah. A lot of kids, yeah. Clyde was going to possibly play for Weldon. What most likely lost the sweepstakes to get those kids from Houston to play for the man from Kashmir Hills High School was Skip Adams and Greg Berry, because they coached white style and altered the way Weldon Drew would let the kids play. When Guy Lewis was like, let them run and gun and dunk. And that's what lost them. They said, because all the stories in Las Cruces, well, that Houston came and gave them a lot more money and stuff like that. That may be true, like with Eric Dickerson. But also, if you had your choice to playing for a bunch of white guys that undermined the black coach that was a legend in Houston that you admired and slowed you down and made you play basketball where the coach was the star, or go play for Guy Lewis and let you do what you do to win the game because you're better. Where would you go play? I'd have gone and played for Guy Lewis too. Yeah. I was too young. I think he quit by the time yeah. I had played for Guy Lewis too. And then that's the whole thing with all the Christian. You'd go for those renegade programs where he wouldn't have had to ask, he had to offer me no sex with no black women. Because, I'd be the best point guard on one of the best programs, the best teams in the country. You wouldn't have to offer me sex with black women in Houston. I get my sex with black women in Houston. I'll tell you that. I just have to pick the right one. Okay. I would just see if she's 100 proof. What's your name? She has something, a very big bra. I don't know, she didn't have big, but she had wow, that's a double dinner tray booty. But she got something going on up here, I probably might have ended up dating Carlos's sister, right? Carol, right? And so, yeah, if I, been able to play basketball and people came to recruit me, Guy Lewis wouldn't have had a hard time selling me, because I would tell him, I'm improvisational basketball. I like to run, I like to press, and I like to just constantly attack on defense and offense. And I'm good at it and I can do it. And I have the energy to do it. Okay, yeah. Because Larry Brown was what that one guy said he used to play. No, that's the one guy I probably would have been able to play the best basketball for and probably would have enjoyed immensely playing basketball for is Guy Lewis. And you're talking about a guy that could take someone like Rob Williams and check his ass and get him to go, you know what I mean? Oh, trust me, Clyde will tell you. Fuck him, he's being selfish. What you gonna do about it? You gonna come over here and kick my ass? You want to play basketball, right? You want to do it without getting your ass kicked by the 5'11", 165-pound point guard? All right, well, then let's get it done. All right. Thank you. Okay. Donald Dotson. Okay. Donald Dotson. That's his name. Donald Dotson. A Dotson dunk because they always had the slab dunk, but that was like the big one is the Donald Dotson dunk. When Donald dunked the ball, the whole slab was 6'5", 6'7", 225. Okay. Donald was 6'7", 245. When Donald dunked, okay, the whole basket would shake and it would, when Donald dunked, boy, it was wham. He was a big guy. And they always say, it's a slab dunk. And I say, slab dunks are, but if you want to see that basket move and everybody get out the way, look at Donald, when Donald Dotson dunks the ball. Okay. He was 245 pounds, 6'7". He was a big boy. Yeah, and he could get up and throw it down. And when he did, boy, that rim shook, that whole basket shook. Oh yeah. Oh, Donald Dotson, nice guy. I was wondering because I sat there and looked at that Hatch Valley State Line, whatever thing is. Is that an old player? Is that Virgil? Is that Virgil Jenkins? No, I don't think it is. But I'm like, who is that? Is that an old player from Western? Because he big. He looked like he about 6'7". Been there a while. Maybe that is Virgil Jenkins. Maybe Virgil Jenkins stays silver. Who knows? I don't know. I'll be looking at that when the Hatch State Line Toyota commercials and shit. Yeah, ain't none of y'all ever wondered? Ain't none of y'all know Western basketball that good then. Okay. Yeah. Daryl Ramson, Harold Ware, Donald Washington, Virgil Jenkins. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. Harold Ware's little brother played on the team too, like Elijah and Micah Owens. Yeah. Back during Dick Dragmister's heyday when they were going to frequently, 3 or 4 years in a row, going to the regional tournament, and then 3 years with I think it was a sophomore, junior, and senior year of Harold Ware, Daryl Ransom, and Virgil Jenkins, that they went to Kansas City. Going to Kansas City, didn't win the tournament, but went to the tournament. And that was when they were a National Athletic Intercollegiate Association. That's when we were in the NAIA. Okay. And this is the first time, last week was the first time they ever made it, any things in the rankings are being ranked in Division II NCAA. But Division II, going to Division II, you get the style of basketball. NAIA back then, you could have some pretty good basketball and some pretty good talent. It was different, the way the economic engine worked and how it worked as far as getting kids out of impoverished situations and then giving them opportunities to get out of impoverished situations, like me and Chris Snead talked about at the Aggie homecoming against Georgia State. He came back to talk to Coach Samuel, and he went to Western New Mexico. We talked about that. So, I didn't start doing the spin move till Western, and I was like, I wanted to go talk to you and Aubrey and talk to Tony and say, hey, just, I know it's taught not to do at Nebraska and Nebraska football, but, break free from a lot of your teachings. Both these kids would be real good at a spin move. There's 2 words for you, Dwight Freeney. Okay. Because they were both like his size, And I was like, yeah, just, let Aubrey spin on him. He gets him in a spin cycle, and he will knock some people down. He will get to the quarterback. If you use it effectively, it can leave guys standing still. Spin move, or sit and watch it. You got a swim move and stuff like that. But you go into a swim and they do like that, and you spin, and the offensive linemen are like shit. Especially if you're Aubrey Demersme size. Aubrey was 6 feet tall, 245, 250 pounds, rock solid and quick. And Chris was like, what was that kid's name? He used to play at Virginia Tech, ended up playing linebacker in the NFL. He reminded me a lot of him. And I was like, wow, you said you could do this. But he said what it did was I stayed in college. I was able to make good business connections, and now I got a good job in Albuquerque to make sure that my kids aren't living in the same poverty conditions that I had to be in. It's like, yeah, I'm the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer. I'm cleaning this shit up. I love y'all. Peace out, man, all right? I'm just connecting to folks in prayer. You know me.